Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. Before we really get into this tea, which we see we've got our equipment ready to go, got our water ready to go. I want to talk a little bit about where teas are coming from as far as where you're buying them from, and that's particularly in relation to location or company, where the company is based. The Walker Tea Review has looked at teas that are retailed in the U.S. And then we've also looked at some teas, or some companies rather, that are based in the source or the origin country for those teas. And the reason that I've done that is because I've looked at some of the teas from, say, in some European countries, where by the time they got here to the U.S., there were extra shipping costs that you could have found. I found. My search led me to believe you could find teas of equal or better quality from those origin countries, I should say, or companies here in the U.S. So, having said that, though, I have looked at a tea company, and we're going to be talking about today from the U.K., Canton Tea Company. And before I accepted any of their teas, I've reviewed them in the past and I stepped away, but I went back and looked at their teas again and the prices of their shipping, and I found that they're still quite competitive, even compared to U.S. tea companies. So that's what we're looking at today, and that's why we're looking at it today. And if someone asks, Jason, why don't you look at more companies from the U.K.? That's my general criteria. Does it give a fair or competitive tea price when comparing it with teas from retailed in the U.S. or teas from country of origin? So we have a black tea today. You can see that I've got out my traditional Chinese style gaiwan. This is a Chinese style black tea, and so we've got about half. Well, if you mash that out, that covers a full teaspoon there. That's not really covering all the bottom of my gaiwan, so there's another third of a teaspoon there, and that looks good. So, setting this aside for just a moment, our water's been brought to a boil. It's been cooling for just a few seconds as I've been talking here, and we're going to carefully just kind of let that swirl around, coat those leaves, just like so. Let me set this out of the way, off camera, and let's cover that for just a moment. Yes, also it's a good fit here. We got enough water to rise along the edge there, creating a seal. I'm going to slide that over carefully, enough so that we don't have a lot of spillage falling off the sides of the gaiwan. Gaiwans are great for individual servings, for the Gong Fu style. The Kung Fu style or Gong Fu style really allows you to use more leaf and really challenge yourself and kind of grow in bringing out the very best of a tea, and that's why we use it. Let's talk about this tea, though, for just a minute. As we said, from Canton Tea Company in the UK, a sample size like this of their KeemunHaoYa, that sample size like this is about 10 grams, and this retails for $4.47. Now, their shipping, if I recall, was around $4 to $5. Of course, it's going to take it can take a little more time, depending on the comparing to a tea location in the U.S. I'm trying to recall. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Canton's shipment shipped in, I'm wanting to say 7 days max, 4 to 7 days. Okay, so still quite competitive as far as delivery time as well. So that's why we're looking at their KeemunHaoYa, and we're going to be looking at it and giving it the full range of inspection here, from dry leaf to wet leaf to liquor. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this dry leaf. Keemuns, by the way, are still used and originally used for in a lot of your English breakfast or other types of blends. So there will be some characteristics that you'll note and recognize if if you're coming from that tea drinking angle. You're getting some kind of a light cocoa powder type note in the leaf, or in a dry leaf aroma. You're getting a little bit of a leather as well. There's also this kind of light, sweet spiciness that I associate with Chinese medicines. That's a lighter component in this particular Keemun. If you're not familiar with that Chinese medicine, if you haven't been into like a Chinese apothecary, I also find it associates very close to the tamarind, and tamarind is used if you've ever had a Thai iced tea. That's one of the elements that you'll find in there. Perhaps you'll pick that up as well, and perhaps we'll find that carries off into the liquor here. But talking about this leaf and the appearance of the leaf, you're also going to note that these are dark, more like a bister, dark chocolate type of color here. You're getting very small pieces of the leaf here, needle-like in appearance. They are wrinkled or crinkled, twisted along the middle length of the leaf section or leaf. You're getting pieces as short as a quarter of an inch up to probably a maximum of half an inch. You do get a little bit of a yellowish gold-looking component here and there, which would be a fuzzy type of tip that I'm seeing here. If you wanted to say percentage-wise, that gold, that tippy aspect, at least in the sample that I got, was close to 1 in 10, 1 in 20 leaves, somewhere in there. So it's not a very high component compared to, say, like a Yunnan type of golden bud type tea. Okay, black tea, I should say. So that's really kind of given us a view of the dry leaf as far as the colors, aromas. Let's go ahead and move on now to our pouring here, so we can talk about our wet leaf. Got out our, sometimes it's called a fairness cup, a gongbei, although it's not really a cup, is it? So I go more with a fairness pitcher, serving pitcher. These are ideal if you're serving more than 1 cup. Allows everyone to get kind of an equal distribution of the more intense liquor at the bottom and the lighter liquor at the top of the one. So I'm going to pour now. Getting a few leaves to slip through, but as you pour, you see that the liquor gets darker and darker as you turn up the cup here. Okay, last few drops. Yep, those are intense, nice and strong. There we are. Okay, I'm going to set this aside because we do want to look at that liquor in just a moment, but we want to talk about the dry leaf. The wet leaf here. Gives a good smell. One more time. Okay. Flavor profile is, I didn't find it to be that intense. It does have this kind of brisk, like a warm peach, a little bit of a red plum type of smell in there. So it does get this kind of smell that I associate with some of your black teas. It smells like it's going to be brisk. It's going to be kind of puckery. A little bit of a light type of roast aspect. It's kind of warm. If you put logs in a stove to heat them up, but not let them catch on fire, that's the kind of warm wood type of smell. Hot wood coming off of this. Now the leaves themselves, they've lightened up. They've gotten moved a little bit over more towards the rust end of the brown spectrum, so there's a little bit more reddish coming out. Not a lot to really note. They're still very fine pieces. They are, they've loosened up. You could unroll them or unfurl them in your hand here. Still small, still sectioned here. I'm going to try to unfold a section just to kind of show. You can, if you unfold a piece, you do begin to see a bit more of the greenish aspect inside the leaf. So we started out with a richer kind of dark chocolate looking color in the dry leaf. When you look at the wet leaves as they are unfurled or as they are steeped here, they begin to take on a rust color. But then if you kind of pull them out a little more closely, then you also notice that there is a bit still of the green aspect, the olive drab type colors coming out. Stem pieces here I'm noticing as well. Very delicate stem pieces though. And leaf sections. So not a lot to add there. I'm not going to keep pulling out little bits and really dissecting that anymore. The spindly nature, this looks like that these are going to be quite a bit of longer sections of leaf that I just want to make sure with this that these were not stem, but these are actually tightly rolled pieces of leaf or sections of leaf that take on a twiggy-like character, but they're not twigs. So having said that, we can kind of now move on to say it's not leaning over dominantly towards a twig character. It is largely leaf sections, very tightly, compactly rolled. Now let's talk about our liquor now, since we're here. We've got a nice, that is like raisin squeezings, pressed raisin type, kind of a tawny port looking color. I find that it's not as red as some of your other, as your typical tea bag type of black tea. This one's a little bit more on the dark brown slash purplish color there. Less of that in that bright rust amber red. This one's a richer color. Okay. Aroma, at least in my picture here, is not the most intense. If anything, it's a bit more of that kind of woody, like I said, baked oven baked type of wood smell. Okay. Let's add a little here. Give this a shot though. Don't forget to slurp. If you're tasting at home, don't forget to slurp at this point. Briskness has come out. This gives a powdery chocolate cocoa powder type of texture, the feel on your mouth, especially on the surface of your tongue. It gives a kind of drying, again, like you've just eaten a scoop, half a teaspoon of cocoa powder. It's a little bit of the kind of astringent type feel that a powder like that would give. The fruit notes have died off, okay? Well, not totally died off. There's a very light amount of a faint peach type of aftertaste. Again, you have to really work to draw that out, at least in this cupping here. Aftertaste tends to extend or stay, and so you're getting that kind of, it's a brisk feeling, but it's really in the back of your mouth. It's not off-putting like an intense tea bag type of black tea. The briskness just really hits all over. This one sits in the back. It's more subdued. It's more balanced with that powdery astringent type of feel. And so you're getting that kind of cocoa powder feel, texture to it. Let me give it one more shot here. The that leather kind of aroma that we got, there's a little bit of that there. Again, not that much. So what you're getting is a strong kind of cocoa powder type of taste and texture that extends to the aftertaste. Balances well with this kind of astringent slash brisk, again subdued and in the back of the mouth type of brisk feel, so that this one gives a very warm, a warm type of feel to it. You're getting this feel that this is something that would give a bit of a almost a heat sensation in your mouth. Something that says this is what you want in the middle of winter. It's just going to put a fire type of feel in your mouth. It's not like a spicy hot, not to say that at all. So looking at this tea as a whole, leaf quality and leaf aromas gave us those kind of characteristics of teas that are that English breakfast style. This one probably would blend well inside an English breakfast type of tea. Wet leaf consistency and aroma, again, characteristic of a lot of these kind of Keemun's. And then with our liquor here, we had that kind of cocoa powder type of taste and feel. While it didn't have that full range, that broad type of selection or variety of aromas, there is a welcome note that in some Keemun's that gives that kind of, like I said, a tamarind, a little bit of that Thai tea type of sweet, medicine-y aspect that just really didn't stand out in this tasting and in previous off-camera tastings that I experienced with. So this tea overall, yes, it displays a lot of the characteristics of why a quality Keemun got put with or got introduced into other types of tea. Standing alone by itself, though, it did not bring out all the aspects that some Keemun's can offer. So that's why this tea as a whole, I would give this tea an 87 or an 88. Kind of going back and forth. Let's push it up towards the 88, just because there is a very consistent, solid quality and feel to this tea, although it doesn't bring the full spectrum, as we said. So come back with us. Come back and join me next time, because we're going to be looking at an oolong. We're going to be looking at a dragon well tea that actually I've been talking with some people online through Twitter. They're already interested in finding out more about this dragon well. It's something you want to check out, especially if you're going to be looking at a nice quality, competitive Chinese green tea. And that's going to be here with us together at Walker Tea Review.